Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to the only game where game enders don't end games. It is Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, and today we're looking at a 4v4 played on the map Setons Clutch. It is a classic that you all love. Today is going to be a little bit more of a chill cast for me. I will try and keep the energy up, but I just got done with one of the more epic matches I've ever casted, and my throat hurts, so fair warning if I'm a little bit lower energy. Now, of course, let's get right into player introductions on this classic map, starting with Team 1 up in the north and ending with Team 2 down in the south. And we're going to start with the rear guard position for Team 1, a dark blue UEF going first, land by the name of Error 404, and he has 1200 rating to his name. And then moving down to the rock position, we have ourselves a white Cybran going by the name of VIP with a first land start and 2000 rating behind his name. Then, of course, over to the west, we have ourselves a gray Cybran going first land, walking his way towards the middle at 1700 rating. His name is Gillowbot. And then up to the north, we have ourselves a green Aeon going first land at 1400 rating, and his name is Gabber, and he has gone the best faction. As we go ahead and look to the south side of the map with the blue Cybran in the rear guard position going first land, and he has a beautiful name of Arma 473 and a great rating of 1400. And then over to the north of him in the rock position, we have ourselves a Cyan Aeon. Best color and faction on point today. It is Horolock's Motto, and he is 1800 rated. Then, of course, in the middle of the map, the causeway position, we have ourselves a dark green Aeon. Best faction going first land, and his name is, of course, Old Poet, and he is 1600 rated. And last but not least, the 1400 rated bright red Cybran going first land at 1400 rating by the name of Path Knower. And this is FAF, and this is Setons, a map we all know and love, a map that many of us have watched many a times. 15,000 reclaim, actually 15,100 is what normally shows up there. And of course, these players going to be getting into it, going to be able to really cause some damage. We have a smattering of ratings all the way from, of course, 1200 all the way up to 2000 rating on these players today. And it's going to be a fun one here in the middle of the causeway. We, of course, have a lot of reclaim for these players to scoop into their coffers to turn into units that will eventually punch the other side in the face, or counterpunch, or maybe throw in a couple jabs here, or, you know, like a good uppercut, maybe a haymaker. Maybe we'll even get some kicks in if we're just for kicks. But, of course, Gillowbot and Old Poet are going to be the first players to get out here. We also have the commanders of course, Gabber and of Path Knower making their way through the water to their allies' positions. And, of course, Old Poet over here is he's waxing philosophical on his paper. He is trying to put together a composition for the ages. And he is getting the reclaim as Gillowbot he's proceeding to execute on his primary task, which is, of course, grab reclaim as well. The two reclaim lords of the middle of the map trying to get themselves done and dusted very well. And Gillowbot is now, of course, he's walking back. He's getting a lot of reclaim. Let's go ahead and just pop the reclaim on screen for us here. Old Poet in the lead right now by a healthy 400 mass reclaimed. That can change at any point if just too much pressure is applied by Gabber or his ally, of course, Path Knower, miss micros a little bit. He could be forced into the water, but right now the reclaim is really being sucked up by these two players in the middle. One of the Salems has now been grabbed by Gillobot, and now Gabber and Gillobot going to work on separate Salems, and that's going to be very important here. Also have, of course, a few Aurora showing up for Old Poet. Old Poet has the APM 1600 rating behind his name, so he's really going to micro these Aurora very heavily. We also have some Medusa now coming out from Gillobot. Unfortunately, they're just going to be killed off pretty much immediately by Old Poet, straying a little bit too close to that green Aeon Commander. And we have another green Aeon Commander here in the middle trying to ward away all of the Aurora out from Old Poet. Gabber trying to help his ally out a lot. Pathknower now going to get onto land, going to start reclaiming himself. Team 2 still ahead on reclaim. That's a lot down to, of course, Old Poet, but now Gillobot leading the reclaim numbers with an attack move Engineer, and overall reclaim, Team 2 is ahead, but I think that's going to change here in a moment. You have to remember that these players in the rearguard position can get up to like 15,000 mass reclaimed just from killing off, not killing off, well, I guess they are killing them off, but reclaiming trees. Very ecologically damaging, but who cares, it's Setons. Nobody wants to live here anyways. And Old Poet, he's walking forward, he's still trying to get some damage done. He's even reclaiming some of these units after he kills them. And that is going to be very significant here. Needs to be careful, needs to make sure he doesn't take too much damage on the comm. Falls down into the yellow, 7,700 HP, and falling quickly. Needs to make sure he's not over-exerting himself here in the middle, as both the comms of Gillobot and Gabber show up. And sorry about that, and I had a burp apparently, and it came out in the middle of a word. And of course with that, we're going to switch back to mass incomes and sort it by team and see who came out on top. The northern team doing a little bit better on overall mass generation and overall reclaim between these teams. Team 2 still ahead. And this is just a thing we're going to have to keep our eyes on here throughout this match. Lots of T1 air flying around everywhere. T1 bomber out over here to the east, getting up 3 engineers. Very nice bomber now coming out from Pathknower. Going to be trying to kill off some power as well, but a nice hover bomb does manage to kill off 1 power, but does not really get much else thanks to the spacing on this power out from VIP. And we have a moment to breathe here. Both of the commanders of the southern team now in the water, Pathknower and Old Poet, gonna have to walk back to their bases respectively. And right now, Gabber and Gillobot sitting in the middle. They're sitting pretty. They're gonna be able to have their comms here for as long as they want with the very healthy HP pools on both. And there's bombers aplenty currently for Gillobot. Really enjoying having all these bombers out in the field. And of course, that's gonna be hell for Old Poet. As a staunch Aeon player myself, I can tell you, T1 bombers are the bane of my existence whenever I have to build land units. It is really, really unfortunate, but he's getting up to T2 land production very quickly here, and if he can just completely phase out the Aurora sooner, then that will be better for him. Having those blazes with their increased HP pools, or obsidians with their insane HP pool, will be very nice. Upgrading a lot of mechs right here. A few bombers going to come in. It looks like they're most likely going to target power, or maybe they're just going to go for the mechs there in the middle. Nope, they're going to target power. And the 4 bombers that do come in here will be more than enough to kill off a bunch of these pigeons. But there's a lot more pigeons built up in the back lines here. And now a bunch of interceptors coming out from, of course, Horo Lux Motto gonna do well, as we didn't really look at the side islands. I didn't see any really contesting plays. There may have been a contesting transport drop on either of them. It does seem as though there was a contesting transport drop out from Pathknower, but it was unsuccessful. The islands going the way you would expect. A lot of eco now starting to come out from Horo. And Horo already nearing 100 mass a second. Very nice eco coming out from him. And he has managed to naval lock onto Gabber. So Gabber in a very rough position here in the early game. And of course, on the other side of the map, his ally, Pathknower, is doing pretty well in the water himself. So right now, things looking very, very good for this southern team. Gonna have to see if they can keep up this momentum, because they're definitely winning pretty much everywhere but the middle. T2 now on the way for Gillobot. Speed on the way for Old Poet. Range already finished up on that commander for him today. And now we kind of just need to wait and see what's going on. Intel for both sides is actually quite good. Or actually, I think it's mainly just intel for the southern team is doing very good, and that's mostly down to Loxmato. Choosing the best color and the best faction comes with its special bonus. You just play better, apparently. And he is now going for a drop of 6 fervors onto this kind of more exposed area, this general drop area. And Gabber honestly seems to be falling apart here. He sent the comm to the middle. He played well with it. But he's naval locked, he's air locked, and now he's about to be dropped by fervors on one of his expansions. He's going to try and throw up an eruptor. I don't know if that's going to go up in time. He doesn't even have a land factory here, so he doesn't have the option of just really, really quickly, you know, getting up some flares to deal with this. The fervor do manage to deal with this, but 3 mechs is going down for 6 fervors, 2 of those mechs is being T2. Or, no, I think only one of them was T2. Still worth it. Still a cost-effective play there coming out from Loxmato. And he's now trying to fight up against Gabber's naval factory spam, which has been moved towards the causeway. And here in the middle, we have a fire base now going up for Gillobot, and he's even thrown out a tactical missile launcher. If he can manage to launch a couple of missiles in towards the base. No, he will not be able to. Old Poet killing that off, but Gillobot, he's going to secure himself a strong position here in the middle, and he'll be able to eco up and maybe even help out his ally Gabber in the water. Gabber is doing a good job of trying to get himself reestablished here, but he has to be a little bit worried. It's beacon on beacon, so it's kind of just who has more numbers. The micro out from Gabber is actually going very well for him right now. He's managing to keep that frigate alive for a lot longer than it ever deserved to, but unfortunately does eventually go down. And does have a submarine over here to be very annoying. No submarines out. Well, now a submarine is out for Horo, but he's gonna need more than just one, most likely. And Gabber just massively rebuilding all of his factories, trying to rebuild back towards his kind of cove over here and get up enough naval production to start contesting up against Horo Loxmato. And Old Poet and Gillobot here in the middle. Old Poet with the gun comm, despite having so much less HP, he managed to get 4 ranks of veterancy very quickly onto that comm, and that means that he's very healthy. In fact, more healthy than the comm of Gillobot with T2. And he's just going to start pushing forward. Very effective use of a gun comm over here in the middle. And Gillobot going to have a few struggles here. He's going to have to throw up some PD most likely. Yeah, and he is with these T2 engineers. He's going to have to try and use the comm to stall Old Poet as much as possible, even throwing up some factories right here. Would love to see him just swap out to Hunter spam to force to just inflate his numbers really quickly, or just even go to moles, just make everything fire at different targets. With a bunch of fervors being here as well, Hunters would not be a bad call. You don't need a Mantis to kill a fervor if a Hunter will do the job just as well. And now Gillobot being forced into the water, much like Old Poet was earlier. And Gillobot, he's still throwing out overcharges, still trying to shut things down. Another Cerberus complete. A shield going to go up for these Cerberus that he's building. Does also have a, I saw a Rhino earlier, but no, I think I was just seeing a Hoplite. He has a couple Hoplites already out onto the field, which will be very good at cleaning up this T1 spam, as long as it stays out of range of the T1 spam. And the submarines over here for Gabber, you'd think they'd be doing pretty well since his opponent didn't build very many, but Horo Loxmato is doing very well for himself in this northern pond, and it's starting to look kind of like a blowout. Gabber is doing his best. He's trying really hard, but it just doesn't seem to be enough. Overall, in the air game, though, a lot more ASF showing up now for Error than there are ASF showing up for Arma. Arma has been a little bit slower, had a less clean air build, and in fact is even slightly behind economically. Horo still leading the pack economically, and you can see why. He was getting those T2 mexes so quickly on that island, and now he's just spamming up T3 mexes multiple at a time, it would seem, and just getting so many economic upgrades in such a short time. And Gabber, I mean, he's 50 mass behind Horo now, so that's going to be very difficult to overcome. On the other side, though, VIP, the highest rated player, the most important player, the very important person, he's not ecoing as well as Horo, but he is sitting on a very good Navy right now, and he's not ecoing badly by any means. But Gabber is just getting knocked out of the water. And in the middle right now, Old Poet is just doing an amazing job of getting aggressive. But the problem with Old Poet right now, while he is building up all of this land spam, he is getting out so many fervors. He's up against a Cybern who is spamming Cerberus, and Cerberus are extremely good at focusing down T1 units. Like, it's basically the only thing they're better than the other factions at doing. And Old Poet now starting to take insane amounts of damage due to these Cerberus. The Cerberus, they don't have a lot of DPS, and oh no, Gillobot! He may have overextended! There's a lot of Mantis near him. There's a Calm also trying to bear down on him. If the Mantis can stop him from getting into the water, he's gonna go down, and oh no, it's a disaster as Old Poet, after a massive comeback in the middle, goes down due to his over-aggression. And that's gonna be our first ejection of the game here at the 15-minute mark. He's gonna be handing over a decent base to whichever ally takes it, and honestly, it should be Horo. Horo has just been playing out of his mind, and he's already won his Navy, so he can focus on what he needs to do here, or he could just turtle up, if he wishes, and really commit to just having the most badass Navy possible. Go T3, get out some torrents, and just siege the shit out of this northern side of the map. Meanwhile, over here to the east, VIP still building up, slow but steady, wins the race is his motto. And Team 2, slightly ahead economically, but it is not too significant. 30 mass a second, when you're talking about numbers around 600, is not as crazy as you would think. Exodus class over here for Horo, trying to siege the middle, trying to get some damage down on the Gillobot, who got very low on HP after killing off Old Poet, but is not going to manage to get the scalp there. VIP, he's focusing on ecoing up now over 200 mass a second, which is quite good. In fact, I think if it was down to just the original sort of eco game right here, I think he would have been catching up or even catching VIP, at least be close to it. And now Gillobot, he's going to struggle quite heavily up against all of these forces. And Gabber, too. I mean, Gabber, he's just not in a very great position whatsoever. And he's going to have to be worried about units, just these naval units moving forward. T2 Navy is now online. And the Aeon T2 Navy, it's not scary as far as killing your base. But once Horo feels comfortable, the right play here is just go for torrents. Go for aircraft carriers and torrents, so that way you can deal with all of the, you can get your own air force, and you can also have very strong AA to try and deal with torp bombers, and the torrents just do all of the sieging in the world you'd ever need. He's now even going to be able to get some hover spam action going on. I think he was already going for it himself over here, but now he has a much stronger base with which to do so. Many more land factories there. And also going to throw Aurora into the mix. And overall ecos right now, VIP and Error for the northern team at 254 and 263 respectively. On the southern team, Horo at 323 and 260 for Arma are the big players there. And overall economies, Team 2 slightly ahead still, but nothing major. Right now, I'm really looking at VIP, who is getting up quite the eco, and also Error, who's silently just been kind of, he's doing well on air. He's just doing his role. He's filling everything very well. And here in the middle, Hoplites starting to gain some territory, but they're not really going to be able to do anything major here. And I don't think there's much of a chance of Gillobot getting too much done here in the short term. He's out-ecoed, and so is Gabber. It's really starting to become a problem. Gabber now trying to desperately go into T2 hover spam in order to be a stopgap measure to try and stop this Navy, but it just doesn't feel like he's going to have enough. His main base now in tatters, falling apart. And seriously, it's just a disaster on this northern side for Gabber and Gillobot. In the southern side, a huge naval battle breaking out. I don't know if VIP necessarily has more, but honestly, he needs to start winning his side of the map, and he needs to start winning it right now, because his allies aren't going to hold out too long on the northern side. Air fight breaking out down in the south. Kind of hard to watch with VIP versus Error, or with Error versus Arma, both blue. But Error here definitely coming out the victor, which is not really what you would expect with, of course, Arma being the higher rated player. But Arma now going for Teleporter. Maybe going to go for a Telemazer play, and that would be a huge play, and a very early one at that. Trying to catch his opponent team off guard. Although I kind of feel like if he just plays the game standard, if he just really goes for air control and tries to play for it, he'd be doing his team a better service, especially with how well Horo is dominating the map. Full T3 Mex is about to finish up for VIP. He's almost caught Horo and Echo, despite Horo having a second base. So I think VIP is the best ecoing player on the map as of the moment. Pathknower now with a torpedo comm in the middle, trying to mix things up, but he is slowly losing Navy to VIP. And over here in the north, we have this hover spam out from Gabber. It's such a cost-effective option when you're fighting defensively. And he's being able to push back against Horo just that little bit. And he's starting to make some ground back, but he needs to be careful, doesn't want to overcommit here. And the comm of Pathknower gets killed off by VIP, almost missed it there. And now it's going to be a 2 versus 4 for the southern team right now, and one of the two players is deciding to go for Teleporter. And that could be a problem here. And now the Navy over here on this southern side for Horo is just being eliminated. I mean, I guess you could argue that Horo really is very well dealing with the two players he's more traditionally supposed to be dealing with. I think that's an assist command on the ground. I don't think that's on the factory, but that is the beam of power. And now VIP, with that Cybran tech with air control, can start walking Salems onto land, which could be a powerful play. A bunch of Gunthers gonna now be spammed up by Horolock's Motto. Horolock's Matto, and now Arma is going for a teleport play, and he's going for the airbase of Error. And let's go ahead and get the icons on here. And he goes into the airbase. He's gonna be able to target down everything here. He can definitely get the air HQ if he so wishes. Teleported a little bit close to a P-Gen for my liking, but he basically kills off all of the air production of Error, and that means he is just one air control for his team. And Error are going to be in such a rough position. Very lucky to not lose the HQ there, but very unlucky with the position overall. Didn't lose really any mass income. So as long as he can get the power under control, as long as he can manage things properly, he'll be okay. Czar now on the way for Gabber, a desperation play out from him. But now without any overflow power, he's going to be power stalling very soon. Error, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already power stalling. No, not quite yet. And that is a disaster for the northern team. And let's see, he teleports now into the base of VIP, who's been ecoing so well, and he's trying to chase down VIP's comm. Will he be able to do it? I mean, he's just as fast as the comm of VIP, but VIP is going to run out of territory to run to here soon, and Arma is full vet. He's killing off so many mexes And I just don't see a world where VIP just gets to walk out of here unless he gets a transport from one of his allies or builds one himself, but I don't think that's very likely. And now battleship fire going in towards the comm of Arma. Mass T1 PD gonna be spammed up over here for VIP, but VIP is down to 41 mass a second. He lost all of his power. He's power stalling and he's lost so much eco due to this comm trying to chase him down right now. And now the Jesters, the battleship, they're all firing into Arma. Will Arma be able to get the kill or will he die trying? It doesn't, I mean, he's almost within range. He's so close. He's trying to dodge battleship fire down to 1700 HP. VIP still running away, but Arma goes down before he can get it. And this leaves Horo in a 1 versus 4 situation. And VIP, he loses a lot there, but he doesn't lose his life. He needs power. He's begging for it. He has battleships now built up. And Horo is responsible for everything. And he is now building up those Torrent-class missile ships that I was talking about earlier. And they're going to be extremely effective at sieging here. You're already seeing the base of Gillobot basically be completely annihilated. You're seeing Gabber still trying to build up this Tsar pet project of his, but I don't think it's going to mean too much considering that his team is most certainly not going to have air control for a little while. And now Horo, he just needs to keep the comm alive. It's time for teledefense. It's time to have yourself set up for all possibilities because you're in a good spot. You're economically ahead by nearing 300 mass a second. And VIP, once his eco gets back online, he's no longer power stalling. He's still respectable, still 300 mass a second worth of player. And actually, with him getting his power back online, VIP has caught up significantly in the eco game, his team. And now the teams are neck and neck, but now the APM is most certainly not even. And Horo, his only real benefit here is all of his eco is going to be focused into one player, so if he wants to go for some sort of mega project, go for something like a Salvation, like a Scathis, like a Maver, like a Paragon, all of the mass on the map will be going into it. But now he has to contend with 4 different players all doing their own thing at their own time. He has effectively kind of gimped 2 of his opponents. He's effectively turned Gabber and Gillobot into very much so non-threats. VIP is still a threat, but VIP has been heavily weakened. Error is the only player at full power, and he's finally gotten his air grid back up to snuff. Don't know why he's reclaiming that P-Gen. Don't know the logic there. Aeon has nuke subs, and Aeon does indeed have nuke subs. And, yeah, he has at least 2, maybe 3 nuke subs built up there. In fact, I'm a caster. I know how to do things. He has 2 nuke subs already built up. Those are going to be dangerous, and the enemy team has been a bit power starved, so the likelihood of things being loaded, he should know, is pretty low. And you now start seeing this overwhelming siege tactic. All of these torrents coming out, 7,000, 6,000, 8,000 mass killed. These torrents are really fighting it out for him right now and really getting him a lot of value. The Tsar is almost completed, 84%, but here soon it's going to start taking fire from torrents, which will very quickly drain its HP. But I think the torrents may focus instead on mass extractors, which honestly probably the better play. As Tsar finishing up, I don't think it will be too impactful. I mean, how many ASF does he have? He has 77 versus Error sitting on 124, so he's behind on air. But the Tsar will be flying into what I would guess is a decent amount of AA, especially if all these flax move up and get with the units there. And the double nuke sub starting to leave the base now. Actually, that's 2 new nuke subs. There's a lot of nuke subs now being built up. Error404 points it out for his team. The Tsar is online and is starting to kill off all of the torrents, or at least it's going to try to, in combination with blazes and asylums getting on top of them. The torrents, honestly, though, have already kind of paid themselves off. They've already done more than enough damage to completely mitigate the power of both Gillobot and Gabber. And I don't think this Tsar is a long-term threat. I don't think it's going to be able to hold out for too long, especially once it starts having to fly over a bunch of flak, which will quickly drain its HP. Sure, it has a bunch of air protection, but if it needs to die, then 100% Horo can kill it. And here in the middle, a bunch of renegade gunships out from VIP gonna start trying to deal damage. And most likely they're all gonna get shot down here. I would imagine some AA is gonna start getting spammed up here in this front base. Whenever I'm in a position like this, it's worth the APM almost always to try and go for SAM spam wherever you can, because ASF micro is one of the most intense APM things, APM intense things, and you're going to want to be able to mitigate it as much as possible. And unfortunately, though, he's going to lose all of his ASF here, which means he no longer has the ASFs to just mitigate this Tsar if he needs to. And he also doesn't have the ASF to really protect his nuke subs, which he has many of right now. And that Tsar gonna become a real issue real quick. Needs SAMs all over, says Arma. And I agree. Gonna start spamming up SAM lines now is Horo. I like that call, I like that play. And Horo is getting reestablished in the Southern Navy. He's gonna start fighting VIP. He's fighting on all fronts. And he's doing his damnedest. Tsar now encroaching towards him. He's in a bit of a rough position. I don't know where his comm is. His comm's going into the water over here. But I don't know what's going to really be able to stop this Tsar from just waltzing on into the main base over here. And I think the Tsar was targeting down the nuke subs, or at least trying to. The 2 most loaded nuke subs are already out of the area. Are there any dead nuke subs over here? If there are, I'm not seeing them. And he had like 5 at one point, and he still has 5. He still has all of the nuke subs. And honestly, if he gets a few of these loaded and just throws all the nukes at Error, I don't think Error will be able to stop it. He has 1 anti-nuke loaded. I think he's going for the strategy of have multiple anti-nukes and hope that he thinks they're all loaded. Over here to the south, the Renegades trying to clean up this naval attempt coming out from Loro. But I don't know how successful that's going to be. A lot of ASFs just sort of materializing here for Horo. 77. I mean, still nothing compared to the 176, but enough to deal with these little annoying attacks of Renegades. And Gabber has really given Horo enough time to spam up SAM lines, so now the Tsar is not really as much of an issue as you would originally think. And the Tsar, that's a bad. I think that's a bad call out of the ASF, unless they're trying to bait into the SAM line. But even if you are, it still feels like a sketchy call there for me. But he's having to manage so much. And with ASF, it's just like one errant command sent to the wrong spot can have devastating consequences. And now, we now have Kiefer class aircraft carriers, which are going to try and focus down the Tsar. And if this Tsar dies where it is right now, I think that's a win. This is a win if he kills the Tsar right now. 100% a win for Horo. The Tsar would have died in his own territory, but instead pulls off, tries to take the air fight. Not going to be able to. He's getting out a lot of aircraft carriers, though, so the Tsar, if it continues to be used aggressively, won't be able to do much. And it will go down to these aircraft carrier in due time. They're basically like two SAMs that can move around. And you can start seeing that here, the Tsar just being pushed back and back and back. And strategic launch detected. Was that all of the nuke subs? Or just one of them? I mean, how many does he have left? He has all 5 left. And nuke is launched here in the middle. And it looks as though it's just going to go ahead and destroy the base of Gillobot. Poor Gillobot this game. He kills off his opponent just to be left in a world of pain. Another strategic launch detected out of those nuke subs. Where is this next one going? Really is the question. Not quite sure. Oh, it seems as though he's nuking right here. There's nothing of value right there. He doesn't know that all of the mechs there are dead. He still has multiple nukes available. 3, in fact, and he doesn't know it, but if he were to try and nuke right now... Oh, no, he can't. If he was to use that nuke in coordination with the other 3 he currently has, he could have got the base of error. But he's playing it a bit safer. And he's doing his damnedest to try and fight it out. And all of these artillery, they're going to start going down here to the overwhelming battleship spam and the gunships that came in there temporarily. Killed off all the shielding. And yeah, these Gunthers, they were kind of like the last line of defense, but now they're not going to be able to do much at all. Shield heavy now on the way for Horo. Is he working on any game ender? No, not really. He's just massing nuke subs still. He's getting even more. One, two, three. 3 loaded nuke subs. And as of the moment, he still has 5 after losing one of them. Where did he lose that one? He lost a nuke sub over here, unfortunately. Gabber's Tsar still going to be used as a base defense kind of option here. Strategic launch detected. It's going for the comm of Gabber. Another one being sent down to the fire base here in the front for Gillobot. I don't know if these nukes are high value or not. He's stopping Gabber from ever really rebuilding. And he gets the comm? Oh, I thought the comm was going to be safe, but no, Gabber dies to that nuke launch. And now Horo has taken the 4v1 and turned it into a 3 versus 1. And he's launching another nuke. This time it's going towards the base of VIP and his anti-nuke. It's not loaded. Neither of them are. He's renamed SCUs to VIP to trick people. But of course his ACU is down here. And that nuke is indeed going to land. And it's even going to take out some SCUs, which is very unfortunate for VIP. No, it doesn't. He had another anti-nuke right here that was loaded. He has 3 now. And I hear a lot of torpedo bombers. How many nuke subs did he lose? Doesn't look like he lost any. He's being very careful with their positioning. And currently, none of them are loaded. He does have quite a few in the water. And we now have this Tsar, which was now taken over by VIP. He could nuke these battleships, but I'm really just not sure how worth it would be to do so. And I apologize, everybody. I forgot to turn off stream alerts. So in case you didn't know, this is streamed live. And apologies for that pause. Yeah, this is streamed live. Apologies for this pause. If you want to catch this live, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's kind of sporadic, but you will sometimes get a notification and be able to catch this live. And we're going to get back into this, and I was talking about nuking these battleships down here. I'm not quite sure it's worth it. The battleships have kind of killed everything they're going to kill. Like, sure, there's a few more mexes that are going to go down. He's already kind of denied those mexes on the other side of the map, and yeah, I think that it might be a waste. The battleships aren't going to achieve much more after this. A ton of Corsairs are going to come in and start trying to kill off the air grid, and they're going to get substantial damage done. These T2 air attacks out from VIP are being incredibly effective. I mean, there's still so many air factories built up there, but the air grid for Error is just superior, and it's going to continue to be, as long as he doesn't have to manage too much else. But currently the ecos, he's managed to keep pace economically. Horo has. He's only 100 mass a second behind. When you're talking about 1200 and 1300, it's really not that much of a difference. And has a bunch of anti-nukes himself, has really just dug in, kind of turtled at his base. And he's trying to make the nuke sub spam work for him, and a lot of these nuke subs are going to be loaded or almost done loading very soon. A couple of them not producing, which is not what you want to see. He needs to make sure he double checks that. And Gillobot just finishing up teleporter and has laser already, so he has telemaser ready. Honestly, where do you even teleport to? I guess we'll see here in a second where he decides is most valuable. He teleports right here in the middle where all of this air grid is, and it's kind of already been pretty well and good messed up here. I mean, it's kind of just build AA at this point right now for Horo, and he's gonna start building a bunch of T1 bombers. I don't know if he's gonna be able to deal with this comm too easily. I mean, the comm's gonna get 5 vet very soon, and it's already starting to teleport out. A strategic launch detected, yet again going for Gillobot's base. And that's a lot of T1 bombers, but Gillobot gonna get out. And no, he teleports into the other air grid. He wants to shut down air entirely for Horo, but the big thing is that Horo has built up a ton of aircraft carriers and can just produce his ASF there. VIP has built an experimental. We'll have to look at that in a second. Gillobot teleporting once more, and this time he teleports out to the safety of the water. But the air production now for Horo is gone, and it's a disaster. Yes, I mentioned the aircraft carriers. I mentioned how he can use those. And he manages to land a nuke up here to the north. So many nuke launches going on, I just can't pay attention to it. And these aircraft carriers, they aren't producing, so he hasn't decided that's worth it. I think he's just going for the, as far as air is concerned, I'm going to turtle up, and I'm going to use AA units. And how many nuke subs does he currently have? He's sitting on 7. Go ahead and check. These nuke subs. That one's not producing. That one is producing, not producing, is producing, not producing. He's microing them a lot, but not noticing that some of them aren't producing. Needs to make sure he keeps on top of that, though. And now with about 200 mass a second down on his opponents, what is he gonna do? What is the plan? He's built up so many mass fab farms. And he's building a Scathis in the water over here, and he's going to start building up a bunch of shields back here in the back line to protect himself from all that. The experimental that was built up by VIP, what was it? Honestly, it's hard to tell. I couldn't realistically tell you where it is or what it is. It's a Monkey Lord over here on the main base of Horo. I mean, I guess you could call it the main base. This area has just been so destroyed, annihilated, that I don't think it's even worthy of being really called the main base. But that Monkey Lord should be cause to worry right now for Horo, and he's going to build up a bunch of T1 bombers to try going back and deal with that. He has all of these T3 air production facilities, which he can start locking onto that Monkey Lord with T1 bombers. But a ton of Corsairs are now coming out. And what are they going for? They're going for mass fabs currently, power generators. And they're going to go down before only really killing off a power generator or two, which isn't going to affect... It's not going to really affect Horo too terribly, especially, I mean, I guess it will since he's now power stalling. He needed those very badly. And now Gillobot has teleported in, and with the Monkey Lord as well, things are getting a little bit crazy. Teleport plays just all over the place. And Gillobot teleports into the base, but this is a bad call. Gillobot's going to go down to the Oblivion point defense in the middle of the base. But currently, Horo, I think, he's managed to fix the power stall. I think he stopped something from producing all of the nuke subs. And he now has the Scathis online, and if he can start getting rid of some of these anti-nukes, specifically the anti-nukes around Error, and shutting down the air production of Error, that could be huge. But a Maver is about to finish up for Error. And oh man, Horo, he's doing his damnedest, but he's just not able to keep up. He's managed to take the 1v4 and turn it into a 1v2. He's got the Scathis online. Does he know of the Maver? More anti-nukes now going up across the map. Strategic launch detected. Another nuke being launched from one of these submarines. And he's nuking down here where all the Monkey Lords are being built, where the battleship is. Battleship row down here. And Horo now sub 1,000 mass a second. I don't know if that's power related or not. And that nuke lands. All of the battleships are still alive though. You have to nuke it twice. Yeah, that's why I was saying I'm not sure it's worth it. And now we have to see, is the Scathis going to be able to break through and kill off the Maver? Well, the shielding is already faltering. Is he still targeting the Maver? Does he even know that that's what's being built there? In comes another volley of Scathis fire, and a bunch of power about to go down. Oh, the Maver goes down! And it doesn't even leave any reclaim. Error says GG as his air grid is destroyed and annihilated. And he control Ks, leaving the base to VIP. The Scathis raining down hell upon him. And VIP now left to hold the bag, left to 1v1 Horo, who has played a stunning game thus far. Horo now starting to build T3 land factories. I think he wants to build something to deal with the Monkey Lord. Or he's just going to build up all of the T3 Aeon Engineers and I guess build GCs, which is an option. All right. Starting laser. VIP is going to go for the telemaser. Or at least he's getting it for now. He's getting the upgrades. He's getting laser, and you have to imagine he's going to go for teleporter. It's his Hail Mary. He has to try and kill the Scathis. But will it work really is the question. Teleporter done. Or laser done. Does he go for teleporter? He does. Not feeling it's in the cards for him to really compete with the fact his opponent has a game ender. That Scathis has just created such a untenable situation for the 2000 rated player, who's now down a ton on eco. I don't know if that's power related. Doesn't seem to be. He's just losing mass generation left and right. He has a Monkey Lord trying to get into the base. He wants to kill off the Scathis. He's not really got a chance of killing off Horo, who's in the water and very safe right now. And teleporter is done. Is he gonna go for it? Or is this just a... I'll have it in case I want it later. Keep our mouse hovered over that. Scathis now starting to kill off what's remaining of VIP's main base. And the teleport is coming through. I feel like there's only one real place you can teleport. He's teleporting in right next to the Oblivions. And critically, the Oblivions are going to start firing into things like the Monkey Lord, into things that aren't the commander. They are set to target the commander, but they were pointing the wrong direction when he spawned. The Scathis, I think, has been given an order to run into the water, but the Scathis, I don't think, is going to be given the opportunity. VIP going to kill off that Scathis, and he's going to be able to get away. The wave of bombers now coming in. He's halfway done with the teleport. The Monkey Lord coming into the base, killing off everything in its wake. And VIP gets out. He completed the heist, and oh no, it's a disaster for Horo. He has played the game of games, but he has slipped up this one time in this nearing an hour-long game. He has played a blinder of a match. He has done so well, and he does admittedly have a bunch of nuke subs. And he does still have the stronger economy, but he just doesn't have the power. Like, every time he builds up a bunch of power somewhere, it gets destroyed. Just kind of the way of his life right now. How many of these nuke subs are loaded? 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are loaded. Where do you even nuke with all of the anti-nukes on the field? You have to kill those, but now you don't have a Scathis to do it with. And now down here in the south, that's a ton of whalers. I don't know why Horo is not just killing these. They really aren't scary for your ASF to deal with. This is the result of having to 1v4 for nearly an hour. This is him just being completely APM drained. It's that brain rot that sets in the later you go in the game. Because these whalers are getting unnecessary damage, and this really is the difference between a 2000 and an 1800. Just these little things. 2000s just have that little bit more endurance. They have that ability to just keep going. They're just built different. And those whalers have gotten a lot of value, killing off so many T3 mexes. Not that it particularly... I mean, I guess it does matter since Horo is now behind economically by a large margin. Horo had the experimental, and he has so much reclaim in his base. Could just try and build another one, honestly. Build another one, and this time with a lot more point defense. But where do you even nuke to hurt VIP is the question. I mean, I guess if you launch enough nukes right here, you'll hurt his air production and his power production, or if you launch him right here. But like, his economy is so spread out, and Horo is just struggling. He has a ton of mercies ready, and it doesn't seem like he's very interested in building PD. He just wants to have the mercies there. Is he trying to bait out the commander? Also, how is he spending his mass, and what is he spending it on? He's building a Paragon, and I think he's trying to bait. He's saying, "Okay, you want to snipe my game enders? Snipe this Paragon, I dare you. You see how many Oblivions I have? You see how many mercies I have? The only way you can do it is with air, and I'm confident you won't be able to get through with air." I mean, I don't know why he's confident. I mean, there's a lot of SAMs, sure, but they aren't very far out. Needs to build more SAMs, and he is doing so kudos. And we have a Paragon being built, and what the Paragon will enable will be enabling him to build as many nuke subs as he wants, and probably salvations, if we're honest, but as many nuke subs as he wants, and just have them build as many nukes as possible. Being able to turn on all these nuke subs will be a wonderful feeling. And now we have Mass Strat Bomber coming in. What's he going for? He's Cybran, so they're stealthy strats. They're going for power yet again. More and more power. 4 Horo is going to go down. But, like, I mean, at a certain point, you just kind of go numb to all the power losses. And that Paragon now up to 77%. Does VIP know about it? He doesn't know about it. He knows something's going on there, but he hasn't thrown a scout over just yet, and he's going to really regret that here soon. Really going to regret the I'm not scouting the thing that has 1,000 units 1,000 engineers next to it. But of course, he's also suffering from that brain rot. Every player gets it. And it looks like the plan for Horo, the second that's done, is to build nothing but Czars, and a lot of them. And that seems like a good idea. And those strats most likely could have killed the Paragon, if I'm completely honest, if they wanted to, but they didn't know. What you don't know will hurt you in Forged Alliance. Rain. Is there an Eye of Rain? I'm not seeing one. Either way, a ton of Mantis are being surprisingly effective by just walking into the base. I mean, they're not going to be effective for too long, as the Oblivions will just destroy them. But, yeah, surprising amount of effectiveness there. And surprised to not see... I mean, all of these nuke subs are now loading. Are there more on the way? No, there are not. But all of them are loading. And does VIP know yet? He doesn't know yet. He still doesn't know. As far as he knows, that's just any other structure. And I don't think he will know from just this alone. He needs to scout it. He needs to scout it, and he needs to scout it soon. This is going to get out of hand very quickly for him. Another scaff is started up. No salvation just yet. And Horo takes an air fight, knowing that if he loses it, it doesn't matter. He's just going to have a ton of Czars here soon. And the ASF can't really commit onto the Czars very easily. Another Scath is going to be going up momentarily. I mean, he started building it, and it won't take him too long to finish it. The Czar, for some reason, is letting the ASF kill it. But the ASF are now flying into the massive wave of SAMs. And now VIP realizes, now VIP sees he's sitting over a ton of SAMs. And on top of sitting over a ton of SAMs, there's an enemy Paragon. And he doesn't have the tools to deal with it. If he goes in with a commander with the Mazer, it doesn't matter. He shoots down another Tsar, but he's lost pretty much all of his AA, or all of his air to AA. And now there's a GC just sitting here killing off any units that come forward, a bunch of PD. Another Scathis was started up, but it seems to be ignored at this point. What is the plan? How do you deal with this VIP?
Strategic launch detected.
Strategic launch detected. Where are you nuking? You're nuking the battleships again, which have had time to regenerate because they all have veterancy, so they will survive again.
Detected.
Mass nuking of all this area in the south. There's a Tsar just trying to waltz its way in. Mass Tsar seems to be the strategy for VIP. Not sure if that's the best call. And holy crap, is all of the strategic launches. Are you building up the strats for the strat snipe? No, he's going for a Maver! And I think Horo should already know of the Maver. He does have knowledge of the Maver. He knows it's going up. The big thing about this is all of these units that have died in his base now are just free reclaim for him. And that reclaim can be used to even further bolster his economy. And you can see that he is outspending the Paragon currently. All of this T1 spam being cleaned up by nukes. He's going for a lot of restorers. He's building up a lot of Tsars all at once.
Strategic launch detected.
That nuke is gonna miss the T1 spam by a pretty wide margin. All of these Spectres and the Restorers and the Tsars should be able to get some good work done here with respect to fighting off the air and killing off all of this land spam. Not to mention the GC. The Tsar is gonna go down. It does bait all of the ASF into yet another SAM line. The Restorer spam is becoming very, very real. And Horo is trying to leverage this Paragon for all it's worth, but he has to kill off the Maver. Gabber says, just snipe ACU. It's in the water. I mean, I'm not sure how he'd go about that. I mean, you can try and use torps, but this area up here, you'd never get through. The area in the south, you'd have a hard time getting through still. The Tsar spam, I don't know. I just don't know if going for air experimentals is the play. He's building up Scathis really quickly. Will it be another Maver killed off by another Scathis? The Scathis, I don't think it's going to finish first, though. Wrong player, Willow. Okay, never mind. Thank you, Cabs. I did click on the wrong player there. And, yeah, Horo not using up all of the Paragon. But this Scathis does finish up, and it finishes up at the same time as the Maver. But the Maver is going to be so much more effective at punching through this, and the Scathis is right next to a Paragon. And oh no, Horo, he's played so incredibly well, but I have a feeling that this Maver might be the end of it for him. Didn't build a second Maver. The classic rule that you're told to follow. Can he kill off the enemy Maver with his Scathis in time? He has a lot of Tsars now. And the shields around the Maver, or around the Paragon, are starting to go down. Due to the Maver fire, the shields are going down. Assistance onto the strongest shield he has, but it's not going to be enough. He has to constantly build shields and throw them online as quickly as possible. And assist them. He's shield microing, but I'm sure shield micro is going on over here as well for that Maver. And yes, it is. And it's so much easier to shield against a Scathis than it is to shield against a Maver. Oh, that Maver needs to survive, and so does this Paragon. The win condition for both sides under threat right now. And this is the only thing that matters. So we're gonna keep an eye on it. Maver trying to fire into the Paragon still. The shield micro is good. The double Scathis is now going to start raining down onto the Maver, and I think that as long as Horo just keeps on with the shield micro, keeps focusing on it, he may be able to keep it going. He's kept it going longer than I would have been able to, and another shield always popping on just at the perfect timing. He needs to make sure he stays on top of it. The Maver shells just keep falling down. Zoom out a little bit from the Maver now. Double Scathis firing on it. He's only really got like 6 shields in the area. I mean, I guess there's not that many shields around the Paragon either. Whoo! That was a dangerous moment there for the Paragon, but those shields are going to be replaced by Radiances. They were shields of light. And the double Scathis fire. He has 2 options with the double Scathis. It's just focus everything onto that Maver, or he can try and kill off enough anti-nukes. Killing off the anti-nukes is such a harder task, I feel. Every moment he has with this is another moment he could be building up nuke stubs and using them. Oh! A bunch of structures go down there due to the Maver. And all of this Scathis fire is raining in, but so much of it is just not hitting the shielding that it needs to. And the Paragon, I don't think he's microing the shields around it nearly enough. He's starting to build up more shields now. Radiance holds on for just a second. So much assistance on it from all these hives. He's building up a 3rd Scathis. If brute force doesn't work for you, it's not working enough. It's not. You're not using enough of it. Is just the truth of this situation. And I think the Paragon's gonna hold out. And I want to go to the normal view, get a view of the rest of the map. It's just a bunch of nuke subs sitting here. And the Zars all went in, but they weren't able to reach the Maver. There's just too much air. And the shielding around the Paragon's down. Where's the next Maver shell? It's coming in, and no! It's a disaster! The Paragon goes down! And so does a Scathis.
Launch detected.
Strategic launch detected, but these anti-nukes have had so long to build up. All of the Scathis fire is coming in, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna be enough. And Horo, despite playing a blinding, amazing game, is gonna fall apart at the finish line. He was trying to do stuff on the other side of the map. He just needed to keep the shield micro going and keep building Scathis and telling them to hit the Maver. And that, I believe, is going to be the game. The double Scathis has little to no chance of holding out. If a Paragon economy couldn't hold up the shields, no economy will. And all of the Solaces are trying to come in to snipe the commander of Horo now.
Strategic launch detected.
He's lost so many game enders this game.
Strategic launch detected.
He's tried his damnedest.
Launch detected.
Strategic launch detected. All of the strategic launches, unfortunately, they're all gonna fail. Oh no, maybe not. I mean, that's a lot of nukes coming in. Is one of them gonna slip through the cracks? It doesn't seem so. And the Scathis fire seemingly close always to breaking through the Maver shields.
Strategic launch detected.
Oh no, there's just so many nukes being fired. How many did he manage to load up? Is that it? No, he still has one more left after all of this.
Strategic
But these
launch
anti-nukes are just too well loaded. We built up those anti-nukes such a long time ago and it didn't work. And it's all over but the
Strategic
singing.
launch detected.
I mean, he's still launching nukes. He's still trying to make the dream happen. And I think I'm going to speed it up because with the Maver on the field, nothing on land is going to work. And honestly, I think you could ground fire this comm. Horo says GG. Is he going to control K? He does. Thank you all for watching. You've been beautiful. Thank you so much to my channel members and Patreons. You can join the channel membership with the join button down below. You can join the Patreon with the link in the description. It really helps me out, so please consider doing that if you're feeling generous. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster.